it's just very strange that, say, I have very extreme ideas,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody else has very extreme ideas that are the complete opposite of me. It's interesting to think about how much similarity there is between those two
Right.
people.
Right.
Not ideologically,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, that's what
Right.
distinguishes them, but in like the foundation of what's driving them. I think there's
Right.
a lot of themes that we can safely say ambiguously that are
Interesting.
very similar between those two people.
Right. That's really interesting. Another connection I could see is with really conservative, like religious views, and then the next step is actually extreme atheism.
Hmm.
And actually, those
Yeah.
are very, very similar views, because the idea is that there's no room for nuance or complexity, and you're literally interpreting the thing you're reading. There's no room for metaphor or paradox or complexity at all. So it's like I believed in, and there's always with this kind of conservative or fundamentalist view of whether it's Christian or atheist, where it's the base, there needs to be a floor or a basis for that very fundamentalist type of knowledge. So for Christians, it would be the Bible, for example, and then for atheists, it's biology and physics, but not like the really open-minded quantum mechanics that I'm really interested in physics. But it's more like you take Newtonian physics and you see it as that's the only truth that there is. I'm gonna defend those laws against other ideas. So it just becomes a yelling match at that point, because your truth is in this book or in this idea only, and you're not mentally flexible enough to wrestle with other ideas.
Yeah, well, and tell me what you think of this. I've been thinking of this a lot lately, and I think this fits in with a lot of what you talk about. I have this line that I wrote a while ago, just in one of my pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Arrogance is the destructor of civility.
Oh, interesting.
And I like that's something I really believe, because in coming at the world from my viewpoint, in making some claim that my worldview is truth,
Mm-hmm.
and I have truth, that like how much arrogance is in that,
Right.
and how much ego is in that. There's, maybe you could substitute those words in this context.
Right.
And, then it doesn't leave the door open for the possibility that I might be wrong.
Right.
And the problem with that is that, like, that's how we learn. The only way that we learn is by acknowledging that there's probably some point in what I'm believing that's wrong or false.
Interesting.
And I'm putting all of this energy into maintaining that falsity.
Mm-hmm.
In an effort to like guard against the destruction of myself. That's a really extreme way to say it, but
yeah,
you know what I mean?
No, definitely, because it's the destruction of this ego that has been attached to this belief, and once that belief gets questioned, like the floor completely opens up and you start to fall, and you don't know who you are. And that's a lot like kind of existentialism. That's a lot like depression. And that's why people are so scared of losing that floor of their belief system.